Today I want to talk about the horrible topic of the grooming gangs. There's a Let Women Speak event happening in Oldham today, and I suppose this is what I would say if I was there. So I wanted to be in Oldham today, but I can't be. So I'm going to send this little video. I wanted to send a message to all the women and girls that are there, they're so brave to gather and talk about the unmentionable realities that working class women and girls are living with. My heart's with every girl that's been groomed, humiliated, pimped, prostituted, raped, tortured, even killed. It's beyond time that our establishments start to prioritise our population and deal with this issue, even if it offends immigrant populations. I want to talk about my own experience because when I moved to Leeds, aged 18, I was very naive. I wasn't targeted by these grooming gangs because I was protected by friends and by my middle class background, but even with these protections I was leered at. I was sexually harassed in fairly serious ways. I was propositioned by taxi drivers and late night economy workers. This is the entry point into grooming gangs, and I was fortunate enough to have better alternatives than promises of free pizzas and taxi rides, and that some lover boy was going to marry me and take me back home to be his wife. If I had no family or friends or education and options, maybe my story would be different. So let's skip forward then to the time I had my own children and became disabled when I had my youngest, and from that point on I came into regular contact with social care because my children had to have transport services to get to school and back. That meant my children were taken by taxi to and from school, and this meant that as a safety measure, escorts are employed to accompany children in taxis so that the taxi drivers aren't left alone with the children. But the process of grooming is insidious. It's not obvious, it's not overt. It doesn't start with a gang rape above a takeaway. It starts with a child being told they are special and deserve a treat or a present, and emotionally vulnerable children will soak up any adult attention like sponges. Importantly, groomers are in this process testing the boundaries of the child's family and friends or the local authority care. If the person that's tasked with protecting the child fails to intervene at the entry point of the grooming process, it will progress to the stage where the adult forms a relationship with the child, and the child becomes grateful for the help, the attention, the gifts, and feels an obligation towards the groomer. So my children grew and I remained watchful. I could see the gangs of young Pakistani Muslim men that would circle my local area in their flash cars, wearing expensive or costume jewellery, smoking drugs, and inviting young girls to join them, shouting out comments to girls walking in the street. I saw gangs of Pakistani Muslim men in takeaways and barbers, and always the enormous numbers coming out of the mosques on Fridays. The young men that would drive around in their flash cars, they weren't displaying wealth that was legitimately earned. They were displaying the spoils of being a gangster. These organised crime gangs are involved in drugs, fraud, corruption of all kinds. It's organised crime that has ensured their older family members might be landlords or taxi drivers or counsellors or hold positions in housing at the local authority. Members of the gang might have access to standards of environmental health or building regulations or business rates. Dealing with the issue of the grooming gangs would expose the depth of corruption that's hiding behind the red wall. Fast forward some more to the point that the children of women that I knew that had not been safeguarded from the gangs were being targeted. Children that were running away to meet their boyfriend in the evening. Once the lover boy method is complete, children will run away to their abusers to protect their family, because there are very direct threats to their family if they refuse to. When a family can no longer safeguard their child, the social services might remove the child from the family home, and sometimes a family might acquiesce to this, thinking that the social services know what to do and how to safeguard their children. However, once a child is in the care of the local authority, children can continue to run away to be with their boyfriend or to be pimped out by the lover boy. These children could be put in secure accommodation, but this is incredibly restrictive. It can involve seclusion or restraint. They even use a thing called pain compliance techniques. So it's understandable that individual social workers may be reluctant to recommend this kind of escalation. The longer the child is in contact with the grooming gang, the more degradation, torture, rape, abuse and terror the girl will endure. We've all become aware of the horror of the Oxford court transcripts, the evidence of survivors like Sammy Woodhouse and the activists like Maggie Oliver. Once they're in, it's so difficult to get out. The threats of violence against them, their families, their children hangs over their heads daily. Some have been tortured, burned, even killed, even made into kebab meat. I cannot describe the horrors. But it must end now. Not one more child. Not one more child. The resistance to deporting dual nationality criminals has been facilitated by politicians with links to the Pakistani Muslim community through bribery and corruption. There's widespread postal voting fraud. We all know about it. It means that community leaders can promise Labour politicians their support. Not only postal vote fraud, there's also disability fraud, the Motability cards that are being used by young family members for commercial purposes, the benefits that are claimed for multiple wives and endless children, children born with profound and severe disabilities because of cousin marriages. Pull on this thread and it all unravels. Thanks for watching today's video. As ever, I'm here. I'm just not able to crank out the videos the way I would like to. But thank you for watching and thank you for remaining subscribed. I will continue to put out videos as and when I can. So I do appreciate every subscriber, every like, every share. Thank you very much.